Okay, let's do Journeyman, written and directed by Paddy Considine, who stars as Matty Burton.
All right, Paddy. I'm just saying hello to Paddy.
Okay, great. Written and directed by... No, I mean, I've got a job to do, but it's fine if you have other things.
And Paddy's family as well.
Okay, great. Can I go on now?
Yeah.
Written and directed by Paddy Considine, who also stars as Matty Burton, who's a boxer with a title to defend. He is also a husband and a father. His wife is played rather brilliantly, I have to say, by Jodie Whittaker. And she can't bear to watch his fights. And which I hear is actually something which is quite common. So she's relieved when he comes home. However, he has taken a beating that has life-changing consequences. It changes who he is, it changes what he can do, it changes how he acts, and it changes what he can remember about his life and about his loved ones. Here's a clip.
Who's that?
That's Jackie.
Right.
He's in your corner.
Oh. Who's that?
That's Richie. He's your trainer.
Right. My dad?
Yeah, you know him.
Yeah. Who's that?
That's Matt.
I'm Matt.
No, you're Matty. That's Matt.
Yeah. Matt.
That's me.
Oh. Yeah. And my friends.
Yeah.
What are they?
That's a good question.
Now, here's an interesting thing. I have never seen a boxing match in my life. I don't know much about boxing. All I know about boxing is, I suppose, what I've seen in the movies. And are you a boxing fan?
No, I'm not a boxing fan.
Okay, fine. And the coordinates of the drama, of the narrative of the drama, are fairly sort of straightforward. It's, a man faces a life-changing event and has to try and claw his way back and rebuild his personality, okay? And the film is very, very affectionate about boxing, and I think I'm right in saying that Paddy Considine feels the same way. I think I'm right in saying that. So one of the things that the temptation to do as a critic is to start looking at the film in relation to other boxing movies. To say, but looking at it in relation to Raging Bull, for example, looking at it in the pantheon of boxing movies. The fairer thing is to look at it in the pantheon of Paddy Considine movies. And actually, as somebody who is removed from the boxing backdrop, I look at this as a Paddy Considine film. One of the things about Paddy Considine is all his work is very personal. I mean, I'm sure he's been in films in which he was doing it for a job, but his work is very personal. When he's in control of the project, it feels very, very personal. And in the case of this, it has that personal sense, that personal strength, that sense of somebody really going through a personal journey. I know the film's called Journeyman, which is an interesting word because journeyman sort of seems to mean, plodding through something, doesn't it? On the one hand, it's if you're a journeyman,
you're a journeyman footballer. It tends to imply you've played for a lot of clubs with not an awful amount of success in any club, but you're pretty good.
But the pun in the title is Journeyman, that it's the journey of this man. And right from the very beginning, firstly, I thought Jodie Whittaker was absolutely brilliant, and I completely believed in her character. And as a result of completely believing in her character, I completely believed in the circumstance that Emma and Matty were in. Secondly, I thought that the way in which Paddy Considine embodies this character we meet him and he's a certain kind of person, and then something happens to him and he has to rebuild his life, gripped me completely. And what I realised about sort of half an hour in was, I was literally watching something that was almost a character study. And in terms of narrative, the narrative is fairly straightforward, but it's simply a character study. The poster of it is the outline of a face with a tree inside, sort of the shape of where the brain would be. And it, funnily enough, the poster very, very much sums up what the film is. I think his performance is utterly convincing. There's a little mannerism that he does after the fight, and he's had this this terrible injury, and he's trying to relearn everything. He's trying to relearn language, he's trying to relearn memories, and he keeps doing this thing like touching his mouth as if he's on the on the verge of remembering something. You know, some people tap themselves on the head when they're struggling for something. And I thought it was a really brilliant physicalization of his internal state. And I don't know whether it's something that he'd observed or whether it was something that he made himself, but it worked perfectly for me. It did that thing that physical acting is meant to do. It told me what was going on internally by an external thing. The other thing is that it's very, very heartfelt. And as a result of it, you feel that the movie packs a punch, and the movie grabs you on a sort of fundamental emotional level, which is something I was talking about before when we were talking about Wrinkle in Time, that I can admire it from a distance, but I didn't feel emotionally engaged. In the case of this, although the narrative is so much simpler and so much more straightforward, I really felt emotionally engaged. And there is one particular sequence in which we have his central character, and he's on the phone and he's looking out of a window, and he's sort of looking through glass, one removed from the world, and he's struggling to find the words to explain his situation, and he keeps coming back to a key phrase which he's kind of learned. And I was in pieces. I mean, I was in absolute pieces, just because of the way in which that scene was working its emotional magic. As I said, the thing with Jodie Whittaker is that her presence is felt strongly through the movie, even though she's not in. There's a whole sort of central section in which she's absent from the narrative. But it really brought home to me that thing that you can tell when a filmmaker means something. There is something tactile about a drama that is made from a place of pain and personal input. And all the way through Journeyman, despite the fact I don't know much about boxing, despite the fact that I don't think that the narrative is shockingly new, it's not innovative, all that sort of stuff, what I thought was, this is made solidly from the heart, and it's working. It's reached out from the screen, and it's moved me in a way that I was quite surprised by. And there is that one particular scene, I was literally in pieces.